Welcome back to another video. My name is Naveed Husain. Today I wanted to go over a book I just finished reading called How to Read a Book. I wish I read this so many years ago because there's so many tips and tricks that I've learned that I wish I could have applied in the past, but now I'm looking forward to applying these in the future. The way he starts off is by talking about the art of reading. Okay, most of us, we read a book for entertainment, for informational purposes, or for understanding a particular topic or a person or event. And so really what this book is about is how to read a book for you to understand something, how to change your worldview, how can you become a better person. And a really cool point that he makes about reading books is that it's a very different way of learning. Okay, typically when you learn in one of two ways. You're going to learn through a teacher. That teacher knows something, they sit you down, they give you assignments, they lecture you, and they guide you to a particular conclusion or to a particular understanding. The other way that you can learn is through discovery. Okay, think of a toddler, or think about somebody fiddling around with a machine. Basically, you're coming to this fresh, and you are observing, and you're learning, and you're discovering, and you're coming to conclusions on your own through your own process. And the beauty of a book is that it combines both of these two worlds. Okay, you have a teacher, but that teacher is absent. Okay, and at the same time, you have to kind of discover and travel and journey through this book to come up with your understanding, your own perspective, and your own opinion after you get done reading this book. So it's pretty cool how reading can combine those two methods of teaching and learning to help you understand a particular topic. And so that was already a very mind-blowing introductory chapter. The next part of the book discusses the different levels of reading. Okay, and he says that there's 4 different types of reading, or there's 4 levels of reading. First is elementary reading. Second is inspectional, third is analytical, and fourth and finally is synoptical reading. Okay, elementary reading is very elementary, just your ABCs, kind of maybe what an elementary student might be doing, learning their ABCs, being able to identify words, contractions, kind of grammar, how does the language really work. That's going to be elementary reading. The second level of reading is called inspectional reading. And, he doesn't spend too much time on it, but it is a very important process, a very important level of reading. And inspectional reading is kind of getting an overview, a bird's eye view of the book, understanding the structure, looking into the table of contents, and really getting a feel for how this book is going to present the information to you before you actually dive in. And these levels kind of work one on top of each other, right? So you can't get to level 2 unless you've done level 1. But a lot of times we skip level 2, right? We dive into a book, but this really should teach us that before you start a book, get the lay of the land first. Just like you're going to go on a trip, you look at the map, right? And so in that same way, you have to make sure that you look at the table of contents, you look at the introduction, you look at the preface, because a lot of times the introduction and the preface are going to tell you what to read and what not to read, or how to read the book. So we definitely want to make sure we never skip that. The third level of reading is called analytical reading. And really the crux of the book is concentrated on analytical reading. He has a lot of chapters on the different types of analytical reading, but really what it comes down to is being a demanding reader, being an active reader, taking the time to give the author the chance to make their argument to you, to really come to terms with the author's vocabulary, to come to terms with the author's message, and really to kind of withhold any criticism or critique until you've reached that point. Okay, and he talks a lot about tips and tricks on how to analyze. One of the tips really that I took away from this section, besides obviously x-raying a book, coming to terms, giving the author the chance to make their argument, is to own the book, right? You buy this thing for a few dollars, $10, $12, and for me, in the past, I would be so afraid to write in the book, okay? But the author is making this argument that this book is yours. This book is going to go on a shelf. This book becomes part of you, and you own it. You've taken ownership of this book when you bought it, so why not write in it? Why not have that conversation with the author, this absent author, and write your questions in the margins, write your understanding in the margins, maybe connect the dots between things that you've read in the past. And so I started in this book actually to start writing in my books, and from that point forward, I hope to continue to write in my book. The fourth and final section that this author discusses is called Synoptical Reading. The fourth level, I should say, is Synoptical Reading. Synoptical Reading is kind of the pinnacle of reading. It's where you are able to take a subject, read a number of books on that particular subject, and be able to come up with your own opinion, to come up with your own understanding, okay? And really this happens only if you understand the first 3 levels of reading and understand that you might not have to analyze or read a book at its 3rd level if you're doing synoptical reading. So for example, if you want to learn more about law, okay, first you want to maybe get a bibliography, maybe you want to get a big list of books, okay, let's say 30 books. From that list of 30 books, you're going to be making that go down, you're going to be weeding out books. And some of those books, maybe you just read at an elementary level, meaning you look at the title, relevant, irrelevant. You might just do an inspectional reading and kind of see, okay, what is this author talking about? Are they even going to get to the question that I want them to get to? And so in synoptical reading, you're taking the opportunity and the time to read about a subject from so many different perspectives to be able to come up with your own perspective and your own understanding of a particular topic or area or worldview. I'll just leave you with a few bonus points here. When it comes to fiction, okay, and I felt this all the time. When I started to read a fiction book, I get a little overwhelmed, like, who's this person, who's that person, this place, that place. But what the author says about reading fiction is that unlike other areas or other types of books, a fiction book is trying to give you an experience. Okay, it's all about conveying an experience. And so just like you were to enter a new town or a new school or a new friend group, right? You're going to be a little bit overwhelmed with all the people, their names, what they do, what places we have to go. And so in that same way, when you enter into a fiction book, you're going to have that little bit of uncomfortability, but towards the end of that book, it's all going to make sense, especially if the author is a good author. And so that kind of helped me dive into books like Dune or Lord of the Rings and really be comfortable with the uncomfortableness of all the names and places. So with that, I don't know if this was too long-winded, but anyways, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for future videos. Until next time, peace.